Okay, the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team has been called in to investigate following an officer-involved shooting in Montgomery this afternoon. As you are well aware, in what seems to be like a nightly occurrence, the high frequency of crime trends such as stolen vehicles give rise to serious officer and public safety concerns. This year alone, the service has responded to well over 4,000 stolen vehicle occurrences, which represent a 44% increase over a 5-year average. The common feature of these events is offenders who seem to have no regard for life or property. The Calgary Police Service is working hard to address these dangerous crimes to protect the communities in which we serve. And over the coming days, the details of this afternoon's incident may be released by the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team. The Chief and the service remain committed to being open and transparent, and as such, I will try to answer any questions that I can. I will remind you, though, that we have been directed by the ASIRT not to comment or release any details of this afternoon's incident, and we will respect those directions. So I'll take some questions here.
This is incident number 9. Just to get a comment on the record, why do you think ASIRT's kind of changing its tune now?
You know what? Great question. I can't answer that. I can't answer that question. That they've asked us on this particular incident to not to comment on that, and that would be best commented then by ASIRT themselves.
What can you tell us in regards that led up to this, if at all anything? Because I mean, it looks like a sting. I mean, there's more undercovers there than I've seen at any of the other police-involved shootings.
Well, again, you know, great question, but I simply cannot comment on this afternoon's incident. I think, though, your question actually highlights a bigger issue that we have, and this is what I was referring to earlier in my statement, and that has to do with what our officers are facing on a daily basis now in regards to stolen autos. And a lot of this crime is being fueled through the opiate issue that we have right now. So if you look at even a year ago, when we were out working drugs on the streets, a high majority of our drug use that we found our officers would be doing buys would be cocaine, right, and some heroin. Well, right now you're hard pressed, and meth. Right now you'd be hard pressed to be able to even try and purchase cocaine and meth. A bulk of the stuff that we're dealing with is fentanyl. And the risk to our officers is high. Of course, the individuals using opiates is high. And what it does, it changes your entire personality when it drives you, right? Drives you to commit crime. And if you think about right now, I think we're sitting at close to 195 deaths in the province from opiate deaths. And you think about that, that's a high number. And if you think from policing, so the basis of policing is preservation of life, right? That's what we do. That's our job. That's our primary job, is preservation of life. If you think about that, then you have 195 deaths, right? That's still 195 families that are seriously impacted by the opiate use. And that is playing out nightly for our officers on the street. So you have these stolen vehicles, and when these individuals are using opiates, they press hard. I think in my, many of you know, I'm hitting 36 years of policing, just about moving into my 37th year. And you know, to see what this drug is particularly doing and the devastation it takes on families and the tolls on families. So if we say every life is precious, then you know what, we need to address it. Policing is one component of that. Okay, policing, I get that. Policing is one component, but we're working with our partners from Alberta Health Services, working with our partners of mental health. We're working with addictions, and we're trying to blunt what's going on right now in the streets, right? And it's right across Canada, right? We're not the only police agency wrestling with this issue.
I know you probably can't answer this, but can you at least confirm or deny that there is or was a second scene in regards to this incident?
You know, again, another great question. I just can't answer that for you. That'll be a question of if ASIRT chooses to speak to it. That would be a great question for them to be put to them. So,
just to be clear, in regards to your metaphor, are you saying that a stolen car or opioids were involved in tonight's occurrence at all?
No. You know what? What I'm saying to you is that this is an epidemic that we're having. So at the end result, when you go back, when ASIRT can speak to this, and if they can speak to this, this is one piece of what our rising crime trend is right now in the city, and what we're trying to blunt.
In terms of police-involved shootings, this is number 9. I mean, are you getting tired of speaking to us about a police-involved shooting where, I mean, this can't be this isn't the most positive light for the CPS as a whole?
Well, you know, that's a great question. And I think something you have to understand, we as executive, and that includes myself, right? I'm in charge of patrol operations, so I have the weight of 1,100 officers that I have to look out and care for, and probably another 300 civilian members in the CPS. It's a question that we talk about almost daily. And we have gone through to try and, as crime evolves, so do we. And we could see this trend occurring up to even a year ago. And what we've done in the police service is we've done a complete reorganization to try and stem this piece. We're looking at our policies. We're looking at procedures. We're looking at doing different training. So there's a whole number of pieces that are at play here.
Is there a different kind of addict? So over your 30 years, you've seen all these different types of addictions in an addict. Is there something different about this latest group? They say,
you know,
I'm going to say fentanyl. But.
Absolutely. And I think that's, yes, I'll say yes. The fentanyl drives you in a whole together different way than I've seen from heroin, meth, or cocaine. And you know what? You want to talk about economics? So it's easy for your pushers and your people to produce it, and it's a high yield financially for them, right? So if we're going to look and wrestle this down, it's not just the policing piece, right? It's a societal piece that we have to come together to try and wrestle it down. So,
getting back to the police-involved shooting, the circumstances around it, and the incidents that the details that ASIRT has kind of slapped her hands for. This occurred in a very public place at the height of rush hour, dinner hour. I mean, without much of the details or being able to release much of the details, how do you assure, I mean, people in Montgomery or Bowness that, I mean, this was an isolated incident and they weren't in any danger tonight?
You know, another great question. Again, I cannot speak to specifics on this incident. I have to be very careful with that, right? But we are always concerned, right? Our piece is just what I said before, is preservation of life, public safety. So when we have incidents occur, I can tell you we do hard looks internally. Like we look at our policies, procedures, we look at tactics. And that's what I want to reassure the public on too, is that we are constantly looking at these things in review.
Well, to ask you the unfair question maybe, and I don't even know if you can answer it, was the public put at any risk tonight?
You know, the answer to that again is I'm going to have to let ASIRT speak to that piece. All right, our officers are highly trained. They're facing these type of situations all the time, right? And we are asking them to make decisions in split-second situations, and I trust those officers with what they do. Right now, as we're standing here, our officers are answering 911 calls, they're going to complaints, and I can tell you that they're in harm's way every day. You know what? A lot of stuff the public never gets a view, nor does the media on this, because they go about doing their job, they do an exceptional job, right? But they're faced with situations that, you know what, that they are in danger, right? And I'm going to say the same with our AHS and our CFD partners. So I had a situation. I just was notified here even last week of 2 of my members, where they went into a house where there was a fentanyl overdose, and it's risky because this fentanyl, as you probably know, you even get a little bit on your skin. It can be very dangerous for your first and emergency responders. And they went ahead and did CPR on this individual and saved their life. Amazing stuff.
Earlier today, Calgary Police said 2 people were taken into custody. Is that still the case?
To my knowledge, there is only 1 taken into custody.
Have any charges
Outside of this,
been laid,
no charges have been laid. That investigation, so we do run a parallel investigation alongside ASIRT into other parts of this investigation, right? We may be able to speak to that alongside ASIRT once if ASIRT chooses to make more comment on this investigation.
So 1 person remains in custody?
1 person remains in custody at this time.
Were there 2 initially?
Not to my knowledge, no.
1 person in custody. So
One
no
person in custody.
charges.
No charges at this point. But there is a secondary investigation going.